Breaking news. South Africa has recently transitioned presidents from Nelson Mandela to Thabo Mbeki. This switch in leadership has gone off well so far, but will the recent founded independence in South Africa deal with this conversion? Only a short time ago, South Africa gained their independence from the British Empire, eliminating the apartheid. The apartheid separated all blacks from whites in schools, hospitals, and neighborhoods. When South Africa became independent from the British Empire and became an independent British Commonwealth, their constitutional government gave whites power and black little rights. The apartheid was established by the National Party, which rose in power in South Africa, promoting the Dutch South Africans and banning contacts between races. Blacks resisted all control they were put under by the whites. Finally, the protests succeeded and the apartheid was put to rest. Now, after the very two successful presidents, both F.W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela, there is a new president, Thabo Mbeki. And now we will interview former President Nelson Mandela. Mandela was the leader of the African National Congress, which led the protests against the apartheid. He joins us now after his 27 years in being imprisoned by our own very government. Mandela is here to discuss the new changes that are being made in South Africa and his opinion on the changes. Hello, Mr. Mandela.
Oh, hello there.
Now, you have recently given up your position as president to Thabo Mbeki. Do you believe he is handling things well?
After I stepped down in 1999, I believe our government has made great strides in maintaining our democratic government. We newly passed the democratic constitution following the very successful U.S. Bill of Rights, granting equal rights for all citizens. This constitution thus far has done our country very well.
What do you think should be your main focus in creating little challenges through your country?
Our main focus should be on South Africa's unemployment rates. We now stand 40% unemployed among South Africans, and 60% of our population is under the poverty level. This economic fall has dejected foreign investments, which could impact our economy positively and better our employment. We also have fallen into high crime rates. Our rape and murder tolls have risen to one of the highest in the world. I hope that this will soon end with Mbeki's free market policy.
All right, on the topic of Mbeki free market policy, do you believe it will be successful?
It has so far proved to be working and has encouraged foreign investors to trade with free trade agreements. We have now established trade with Europe, the European Union, Japan, Canada, and the United States. This program promotes South Africa's growth and unemployment.
How does South Africa's newly founded independence affect you emotionally?
I am greatly pleased by the outcome of protest. In the beginning of the apartheid, no one assured the black man received full rights. With blacks making up 70% of the population and receiving only 13% of the land, it seems we could never beat segregation. We lost plenty of lives, like the awful killing in Soweto, leaving around 600 students dead in 1976. They did not die for nothing. We as a country succeeded in ridding segregation.
Last question. What do you wish the new government do for your country?
I wish our government to continue to work towards establishing trade with other countries. We should be still working forward to launching trade agreements with many nations to increase the success of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Mandela.
Thank you. Warning. It is predicted that around 6 million South Africans will be likely to suffer from AIDS by 2010. Are you a victim of such a virus? If so, our government is working to broaden the AIDS policy. Mbeki disputes the clause that AIDS is caused by HIV. Do you believe this? Scientific studies prove otherwise, and if you are suffering symptoms of tiredness, drowsiness, fatigue, and lack of energy, please call the number on the screen, 1-800-HIV-AIDS.
And now we welcome John Smith from Cape Town, South Africa. Please welcome. Have you ever thought the day would come when you gain your freedom?
No, I never thought the day would come. My life was always listening, and I was never able to speak. I was never able to speak for myself. When the African National Congress was created to fight for our rights, it gave us new hope. We put our faith in Nelson Mandela and the ANC, and they guided us through times of difficulty to gain our freedom.
Now, what are your thoughts on Frederick W. de Klerk?
He's been a huge influence on our country's direction and is doing a great job as the new president. His actions of legalizing the ANC and freeing Nelson Mandela marked the beginning of a new era in South Africa. His actions have also led to ease restrictions in South Africa After long negotiations, South Africa has had its first election in which all people could vote.
Did you think that the Inkatha Freedom Party would overtake the ANC?
The Inkatha Freedom Party did pose a threat to the processes of the ANC, but I had confidence that the ANC would win. The vote went well and the ANC won 63% of the vote. Nelson was voted in as president.
Finally, what is your take on the current state of South Africa, and what do you think the government could do better?
The current president, Thabo Mbeki, has been faced with many challenges, like high crime and unemployment rates. I think that some things that the government could do better is to establish more trade agreements with countries and deal with the recent AIDS epidemic. Agreements have been made with Japan, Canada, and the US, and the European Union, so that is going well, and the AIDS epidemic could be stopped with new medicines from the new trade parties.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now please welcome the Ambassador of South Africa, Sir William Moore.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. How does the United Nations feel about South Africa's independence?
Well, to begin with, the transition from presidents is fascinating. Going from a president that isolated his country and sent South Africa, backwards in trade, and Mr. Tutu promoted no nation to associate them with South Africa, and because of this, nations set up trade restrictions and in the end isolated Africa. To a president, F.W. de Klerk, Nelson Mandela, and Thabo Mbeki, who gave blacks rights, rejected the apartheid laws that had segregated public facilities and restricted land ownership, and held South Africa's universal election, in which people of all races could vote. Then Thabo Mbeki's free market policy had made trade easier with the other nations, and had eased all isolations created by Desmond Tutu. We as the United Nations are extremely proud of South Africa's improvement with being involved in the world and the efforts they are pulling into expanding their foreign policies.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Sir William Moore.
Thank you for having me.
And that would be all for today in our special report brought to you by Ms. Kat's History CPA class.